It's Ben here, and I am joined by Bloodtithe Ben. Ben, how are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Oh man, what a busy week. So we've already recorded the next episode of the podcast, which was cool.
Yes.
And I think on that I cussed and moaned and said, Games Workshop, give us some news, give us some stuff. Oops. So I feel like I've brought this on us and so much news. So we are just live streaming now. What we're going to do is Ian Triplo is going to join us in a minute as well. We're going to talk through the two new teams that have been spoiled, the Black Orcs and the Imperial Nobility. So these are the teams that are in the 2020 box. And we're going to talk through what we've seen and whether we like them. There's just a couple of things in chat first. Rob Williams Day, how you doing, Rob? Johan M, how you doing? Marta Roa, hey. Wolford, hey. Mark Pilgrim, how you doing? Okay, cool. So Rob says, anyone else feeling sorry for Games Workshop? That brings about the first point that we need to talk about before we need to talk about anything else. Ben, these leaks, are they leaks or has this been done on purpose?
Ooh, I don't. I think it's really hard to say, to be honest. I think Games Workshop announce everything through leaks these days. We always see a leak before an official release nowadays, so it's really hard to tell if they're intentional or not.
All about the potato can.
Yeah, like these particular ones, they seem. I feel like it would have come out in the original leak if it was.
A leak
It wasn't
leak?
official.
Or not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chat thinks it's been done on purpose. Now, when the first leak dropped, I was like, it seemed like a bit of a uh-oh moment. But it's just, these now, the teams from the box have been leaked, which makes me think that tomorrow we're going to see an actual Warhammer community update with the rules for the teams.
Yeah, that would seem sensible.
I just got this feeling that either they're going to react to it or this was all a plan. And you know what? If this is a plan, I'm well on board with it. It's so fun to have this impending anxiety of news.
Just so much to comprehend in these leagues. Like it's just like a whole new game.
Maybe
It feels like going from 7th edition 40k to 8th edition. It's just everything's kind of changing.
kind of, yeah. I think that's fair. Mark Pilgrim in chat says Games Workshop testing the water to see the community reaction. Well, they've I'm sure they've had a great time. But let's get to the crux of the matter. I've already dropped a video about the Orcs and dropped a little mini podcast just to keep you guys in the loop. We've now had human and the Imperial Nobility team dropped and spoiled as well. So we'll talk about the Nobility team, Ben. I think that's the big one because that's the human team from the 2020 box that's been spoiled and been released. We've got a potato can version of it. So the Imperial Nobility teams, notable examples: the Bogenhafen Barons, the Ostermark Dukes, the something Land Eagles or Owls or Earls, not quite sure. So basically, can't see any of the words for the description, but we have got 0 to what looks like either 12 or 16 Imperial Retainer linemen, 45k. So 45k, that's the same price as a Goblin.
Yeah, or the new beefy goblins, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Right, movement looks to be 6, strength 3, agility 4+, passing 4+. So that makes them agility 2, okay?
Yeah.
In old money. And AV looks to be, can't quite see, but I think it's going to be a 9+. And they come with Fend.
That seems really cheap.
Okay,
for that kind of player.
So
right?
it's 5k more than a Thrall or a Hobgoblin, and it comes with Fend, but they've got one less agility. Natural agility of a 4+ is old school agility 2. So we'll come back to that. There's a really good parallel that's been drawn by the community. We've got 0 to 2 Imperial Throwers, 75k. 6, 3+, looks like a 2+, 3+, and then pass and something pass, which I think is the one that goes booming pass, which is the one that basically reroll interception, I think, from the spoiled rules.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to work out what that one was. Thought it was like running pass or something like that.
It might be running pass actually.
No, I think you're right because we saw the passing skills, didn't we?
I think there is a running pass as well.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, that you can pass in the middle of a run. So against the human thrower, who we think, because that's also been leaked, is 80k. 3+, 2+, 3+ pass sure hands. So 5k cheaper with a slightly different skill build. So quite interesting general passing there as well. This team then comes with 0 to 2 Noble Blitzers for 105k apiece. 7, 3, 3 plus, 4 plus, 5 plus. So agility normal, passing looks to be average really, a 4 plus now for a quick pass, and then AV 9 plus, sorry, with block and catch. Then we've got 0 to 4 bodyguards, 90k, 6, 3 plus, 5 plus, 5 plus. Okay, so agility 2 again, stand firm and wrestle. And we can't quite see what skill we've got, but it looks like GS with A on secondary and no passing skill access at all. So this is something to really mention here, is that normally you've got all 4 access except for mutations. Yeah. Here, these teams do not have access to some skills. So some of these players cannot access some stuff, which is interesting. I don't think it's going to come into play that much, but it will reduce the amount of double ridiculousness you can go with.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things which is going to matter more, I think, in tournament builds. I think, perhaps, especially things that's like a tier 2, you're going to usually have a double. There might be a scenario where it would have been nice to have maybe an extra pass, but I mean, if his passing skill is pretty rubbish, isn't it? So I'm not sure how much it would have changed.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only thing I could think of is maybe if they've got decent armor, or it looks like they're going to have an armor 9 plus, is chuck in a cheeky double low leader on there, but I can't see that coming up. I see that better to be on the Imperial throw. And then you got a ogre 0 to 1, 140k, 5, 4 plus, 5 plus, 10 plus, and all the usual stuff, including loner on 4 plus. So the ogre here stays a 4 plus, doesn't get the little boost the troll gets, because it's really needed with the troll, Ben. What can I say?
No, it just makes trolls better. I think we're gonna have to redo our top 10 and put troll at sort of maybe number 2 or 3.
Yeah, we've got a couple of bits in chat here, and Ben Davies spoiling our next point. They're slightly bad Bretts. The old Brett Lino had the same stats. This is Games Workshop legitimizing the Bretonnia list, said Mark Pilgrim, and it's very similar. So the linemen are basically exactly the same as Bretonian linemen, except they're 5k more. From a stats point of view, if that is armor 8 plus, they are the same 6, 3, 2, 7 fend. So that's interesting. And the noble blitzers are very similar to the Bretonian blitzers at 7, 3, 3, 8 block catch dauntless. These guys are 7, 3 plus, 4 plus, armor same block and catch. So it is really quite interesting. And then you've got some bodyguards that have wrestle, and the Bretonnian list has yeomen who have wrestle. So it's a really interesting one, and the community is probably right in saying that this is what the Bretonnian list has become. And I know, Ben, you and I spoke about what would happen with Bretonnia. We said that if the Bretonnian list happened, it would appear in a different way, a different format. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. They've taken all that work the community did with the Bretonnian list, tweaked it slightly, gave them a load of feathers, and released them with a pretty cool looking team.
I actually really like them. I love the models. I think it'll be good fun. It'll be really interesting to see how they fare against humans. Regular
humans, absolutely. Running pass. Yeah. Sure hands is greater than running pass. That makes sense. Aaron Jaundrill, mid-move pass. Ben Davey saying all kinds of stuff, including Troll still stuck. Good man, Ben.
Nah.
Yeah. And Malak 7, they have better agility. It's an interesting one because agility has now been split between agility and passing. You don't know anymore. I think I need to build a spreadsheet to find out. And I've got something to do at work now tomorrow, so that's fun. The human list has also been spoiled, so the actual standard human list, and everything is basically as you would expect. Can't quite see the costs. Ben, do you want to break the big news about the human team?
Yeah, so they've gained a positional in the form of Halfling Hopefuls.
Halfling Hopefuls, 0 to 3.
We've been pining for ages, haven't we?
Absolutely. So that's pretty cool. So on the one side, yes, the ogre is now enabled. You've got throw teammate on a human team. Your human team now has a bit of everything. It's got good throwers. It's got okay linemen. It's got great blitzers. It's now got an ogre. It's now got throw teammate. The human versus orc list is now going to be really, really exciting. They're tier 1, so the Imperial Nobility is tier 2, like Ben said, and these guys are now tier 1. So apparently by adding halflings, you boost it up into tier 1 because you give them that stretch play. That's quite cool.
Yeah, that's immense.
I'm really
I think it really turns humans into more of a sandbox, which they kind of already are as a team.
Yeah.
So many more options.
I think it's really cool. The only thing I have seen is the question mark of what is the point of Old World Alliance now that the human has the halflings, they can do the human halfling ogre throw combo. Old World Alliance can now do it with some dwarves, but everybody gets loner. So we'll have to wait and see what the 2020 list is for Old World Alliance. If they've got loner 2+ or 3+, a bit better. So I'm hoping
that's a good shout actually, especially with these. Yeah, that could be the case.
if we get loner 2+, then it's kind of a bit more exciting. What do we got here? Oh, Ben Davies says, makes me think the Slan could come back in a different skin. Maybe they will do a Kislev team or something like that. Maybe they'll actually do Slan. I'd love them to do that. I can't imagine they're going to, but hey, if they brought back some squats, they brought back a Zote, they brought back an Amble, they can bring back the Slan, and I think they should. Linton, how you doing? He says, love that you get halflings on the human team. Aaron, wasn't the question always, what is the point of our World Alliance? It's an interesting team, and it's a shame that the Old World Alliance and the Snotling team, if it lands before 2020 rules, you won't get a chance to experience them in the current format, and that's a bit sad, but I'm okay with it. That's fine. We'll just go straight into 2020, and we'll find out how things perform in the new rules. Ben, before we go into your game, while I've got you on the line, the Orc roster, the Black Orc teams, yes. I know I've mentioned it already, 0 to 12 Goblin Bruisers. So Goblins for 5 extra K with Thick Skull. How do you feel about that as a bit of a Goblin player yourself?
I think it's quite nice. I mean, it kind of offsets the stunty casualty, doesn't it? In some degree.
It really does. So now it is 1 through 6 stun, 7 knockout, 8 stun, 9 casualty, 10 injury roll. So quite interesting. Quite interesting.
Yeah, I do like the team as a whole. I think it's kind of like a Lizardman light almost. I think it's better in some ways, worse than others.
That's what a lot of people are saying, is it's a slightly worse Lizardman team, but I think it's just a slightly more interesting Lizardman team. Definitely the tier 2 that it says it is, and I think there's a bit of inspiration. So on my first breakdown, I said it was like the Hobgoblin Slaver team. Actually, there's an Orc Biggin team on the Secret team, which is very similar to this. And I'm just, hey, we've got a Secret team in standard Blood Bowl now. I like that. That's pretty cool.
We can't wait to run our conversion algorithm through all the secret teams and add them into the core game.
What do we got? Lobber XXX or Tobber, I can't quite see. Says, love that humans get halfling. Mike Brown, stunty teams are the best. Even non-stunty teams want some of the action. Absolutely. Kamer91 says, Imperial Nobles aren't Bretonnians. They are not Bretonnians, but I think they're heavily inspired. Oscar in the chat for the win, sir. We need a squig team. I genuinely think that will happen. I think it's going to happen. I can't see them not doing it.
One of the blue players, it looks a bit like a squig, doesn't it?
Oh man, that would be the absolute dream.
I think something I find interesting with these two boxes is I think the Black Orc team is a really nice basic starter team for a new player, but I think the Imperial Nobility is actually fairly complex.
Ben, I disagree a little bit.
Really?
I think this team is also complex. They've got Grab, which is not the most straightforward of skills. It is reasonable. We've got Brawler, which we do know. We think we know what that is going to be. We'll come to that in just a moment. And then you've got Goblins, who've got Dodge and Stunty. So having the ability to throw teammate right out the bat, having the Dodge, having Stunty, but having Stunty on injuries with Thick Skull, I think does make them... This set is a lot more complex than last season. I think.
Yeah.
I think vanilla humans and orcs was real straightforward. This is definitely ramped up a bit, but I'm expecting them to have a quick play leaflet or something if it's going to be a big box like that to break people into the skills. And I know you and I are going to do a how to play guide as soon as we get our hands on it from Entoyment when it is finally released, and hopefully we don't suffer a 40k box syndrome with this bad boy.
I don't know. I think the demand will be less high, but let's hope Games Workshop don't think that too, because they won't print as many. Absolutely.
So on the Brawlers, there was a special skill for the Ogre team for the Fire Mountain Gutbusters. It says, so during their turn, when an Ogre player or Runt Punter player belonging to the Gutbusters throws a block but not part of a blitz action, they may re-roll a single both down result. So we think there's a little spoiler there, or a little clue there, that the Brawler's skill is going to be, unless you're blitzing, you can re-roll a single result of both down. Which is kind of like halfway to block and also combos with block really well. So if that's the skill, these guys are going to be Brawlers. They're going to win a straight up fight. Could be really interesting to see that.
I like how it kind of gives them like just something to start off with, because I know it can be quite a slow grind to level up, like Lizardmen and Black Orcs.
Yeah,
so
grab,
really quite cool.
And if this does allow you to reroll a block dice, it will, like you say, it will give them that little bit of an edge, and they will feel less bad than if you just have a team left of Saurus. We've got a couple of bits in chat. So Kima says, I like that the tiers are included. I do as well. Aaron says, AOS Shook Up Dying Fantasy 8th edition Shook Up Dying 40k. Did we need this shake up? I didn't feel BB was dying at all.
Yeah, I don't think so. I thought it was actually quite strong.
It was pretty vibrant and pretty strong, yeah. So I am going to just hope that these rule changes are happening to make the game better.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. It could make the game better, and if not, we can complain and say that's a shame. But definitely. Ben Davey says, Aaron, it's not about BB dying. This is what Games Workshop wanted to do in 2016. We didn't have time. They've updated it now. It's quite cool. And Joe, how you doing, Joe? It says, do you gents would care to speculate on the contents table projection of the 20 team included? Absolutely. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if they wanted to fit all the teams in, they could. Look at the screen right now. We've got the page here with the Black Orc team. Half of the page is the models. Let's flop over to the human team. Half of each of these pages is the models. If they wanted to put two teams on one page, they 100% could, especially with some of the teams that do not have models. I think there is still a chance that the G-Dubs will put vampires, Tomb Kings. They'll put them in there. They'll put them on half a page. There'll be no art. They could still be included in this team. It is not necessarily over.
I agree. And I mean, let's say worst case they aren't included. I'm pretty sure most leagues and tournaments will have kind of legacy variants that will keep running them. I can't imagine it being a case where they just remove them. A Blood Bowl's too easy to put a new team in.
We've seen it with Secret and Stunty. And if this lands and we don't have those teams, then it will not take the community long to brew up vampires, Khemri, with the new rule set. And hey, we'll help distribute and sponsor that, because it's going to be really, really easy to achieve, I think. And yeah, I think it's going to be cool. Everyone in the chat is just saying. Just talking through about 2016 rules and the change, and whether it was too much change or too little change. So yeah, that is kind of all I really wanted to talk about with the new releases, because I want to put this out in the podcast feed as well, because I want to make sure everyone's included. And you know what, Ben? This is a hot take that I hope I'm wrong about, because it would be nice to have a day without absolute carnage on the Blood Bowl world. We've had the Nobility teams spoiled, and we've had the Orcs team spoiled. Do we think, Ben, do you think that tomorrow on the Warhammer community we will have an article about these two teams?
Yeah, I think so.
Or at least an article about the Orc team.
I think so. I thought you were going to tell me. Do you reckon we're going to have a Snotling leak? Yeah. That'd be nice.
Come on, where are the Snotlings? Where are the trees? Come on, guys.
Yeah. Honestly.
Aaron says
it would make sense if this is coming, though, that why they're holding them back.
Yeah, I mean, if this isn't coming to December, they've still got time to release the Snotlings. Get them out in a few weeks, and would they
print it with like old rules, because they include them in the rule booklet, don't they?
That's it. So
maybe they're waiting for the new edition, right?
I hope they don't. Just get the blooming Snotlings out now. Let's have something to paint for a few months before we wait for this new set to come into existence. Christopher Fitzsimmons, I'm just waiting on the star players. Absolutely. I wonder if I don't think the contents page did it have star players? It may have done, actually. I was always expecting a star player book, so a book full of star players for Blood Bowl. But I think with this edition, if that was going to be the case, it will now have been pushed back a little bit. What else we got? Hey, David Pug Mason, what's your all? How you doing? Ben says they keep overlooking the Snotlings. They do keep overlooking the Snotlings. And it makes me very sad, because they're cool models. But I don't know. those models coming out right now with the looming, I just don't know how much Blood Bowl is going to get played in the next few months. Honestly, it feels like a bit of a stall now. It's like we want to do content. Like... We've recorded our Skaven episode, and that's going to go out on Saturday, and it's really not going to matter for very much longer.
I know, it's all out of date.
I'm like, this is 2 hours. But I finished editing that today, so that's still going out. Star players, 129, on page 129. So depending on how big the book is, we may have a lot of star players, we may not have a lot of star players. It's very interesting. Weren't star players going to have a card until the blister in time? I'm sure they've said so on the stream. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Yep, Christopher, you're quite right. It is on the last page. It's going to be interesting to see just how much is included. It looks like they've included a ton of stuff. So that's great. That's great. Hopefully there's enough there for us to play in. But there's so much out there embedded in the Blood Bowl meta that anything missing is really going to hurt quite a lot of people. I think there's other teams to play, but there are so many teams that if there's a few missing, it's going to hurt. And that's a real big shame. Aaron says, did they say when we're getting this? They said holiday season, and there is a Blood Bowl novel omnibus coming out in December that we think could be timed to be released around about the same time. It's going to be... I think this is going to be an early December Christmas release. Hopefully, and not into next year. Let's get it out. Rob's with us there, November or December. And Jamie says it's non-stop right now. Absolutely is. Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up the talk of the new teams. We're going to move over to our fumble and get warmed up for the match. So, guys, thanks for talking about this. Please continue into the game. We'll still keep chatting, but we're going to wrap up the recording for YouTube and for our podcast now. So, guys, for listening, thank you very much. Guys watching, thank you very much. And everybody else on stream, stay with us because we're about to see a match.